T-minus 20 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome to Our Paramotor Nation. Paramotor Nation is sponsored by One Up Adventures and ParamotorProps.com. They love to share their passion for paramotoring and adventure. They also supply the world's best carbon fiber propellers to U.S. paramotor pilots at extremely competitive prices with fast and free shipping. Wisconsin Flex Force. It is their goal to provide a safe, affordable, fun, and accessible training program to individuals interested in entering powered paragliding. Fly PPG Discovered Powered Paragliding. They are exclusive Midwest importer and distributor of adventure paramotors, trikes, and wings. All of their training is done on their private, highly manicured airfield located on a 48-acre farm. Fly My PPG. They are a U.S. PPA certified Aviator PPG Alliance school offering personalized paramotor training, customized motors, paragliders, and service repairs. Aviator Paramotor. Aviator Paramotor offers a unique service-based method of learning to fly, focused specifically on the individual student. Aviator Paramotor offers a vast array of top-quality paramotors, paragliders, and more. PPG Lights. PPG Lights are a great way to have fun at twilight on your paramotor. Impress your friends and fly legally during twilight with the strobe pattern which is included. PPG lights come with a whopping 45 unique patterns, and most of them can be adjusted to create even more variety. Lone Star Paramotor. Lone Star Paramotor provides foot launch classes, trike training classes, transition to trike classes, and compact builder classes near San Antonio, Texas. They are a U.S. PPA certified flight school as well as an Aviator PPG Alliance partner. Wicked Wings Logo. Get a customized logo for your glider in one or multiple colors. Email Craig Taylor for more information. Be sure to check out our website at www.ourparamotornation.com to see all upcoming episodes as well as the past ones. Check out all of our sponsors and so much more resources available to you. And now, let's get started with this week's episode of Our Paramotor Nation.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Our Paramotor Nation. David Wolf here. Kyle Mooney is already joining us. What's up, Kyle? Yeah, we have got such a great show tonight with one of the best Acro pilots in our nation and one of the best people to learn from. And I'm not talking about John Ripman Ryden, but you probably think I am. We're going to be talking with Kyle Mooney here, and we're going to be starting a whole new series with Kyle. First, I want to say hi to my buddy, John Ripman Ryden. What's up, Johnny?
Hello, David. Hello, Kyle.
Dude, you look so sunburnt. What have you been doing, man?
Oh, I've been on the beach for days.
He's still at the beach.
I've had enough of the beach.
You've been flying a lot, man. That's great. And you're flying so many different gliders lately too, right?
Whew. Sometimes you forget which one you're taking up and what you got to do with it.
Sounds like your dating life. Anyways, we have Kyle coming on in just a second. We have a couple great shows lined up here in the next couple of weeks. We have Amelia Plack coming in. She will be, now again, this is going to be next Wednesday night, but it's going to be at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and that's going to be 3 o'clock on Pacific time. I know that's a little difficult, but she's going to be broadcasting at midnight in Spain. So we're going to be doing that. So if you have any questions, you don't think you can watch the show, but you have questions for Amelia specifically on ozone gliders, she's the person you really want to ask. You can go ahead and email them in to me at paramotorcrazy@gmail.com. I'll go ahead and be happy to ask those questions on, again, if you can't be joining us live. Week after that, Harley Milne, who was on the show, he's the one that did the 50-state challenge, and now he's going to be trying to set a Guinness record, being the first and fastest person. I guess if you are the first, you would be the fastest, but he's going to be making a trip from coast to coast, and he's going to be talking about that. And he's also going to be looking for some help along the way. So if you want to be a part of that epic journey, you can. What did I see in there? I saw Chandra put, "What's up, Paragoonies?" I like Paragoonies. That's kind of neat. Speaking of Paragoonies, this person that flies quite a bit with Ripman Ryden is going to be a guest following Harley's show the week after. Ripman, who's that going to be?
Well, I think it's going to be Mr. Jeff Dean.
So Jeff Dean's going to be, he always seems to be popping up and flying in gorgeous places, so it can't be that hard to find an LZ. So he's going to be talking to us about that. let's get to Kyle Mooney. I don't want to waste any more time. Hey, Kyle, how you doing, buddy? You're there. No, you, Kyle Mooney.
Oh, me. Okay. No, I'm good. How are
So-
you guys?
Doing phenomenal. Thanks for asking. So a lot of people in the chat know who Kyle is, but there's a lot of people who come into the sport since the last time you've been on, or just they're new to the sport and they don't know who Kyle Mooney is. Can you talk a little bit about your background, how you got into the sport, and kind of your pathway to get to where you are today?
Yeah. So when I first started, I thought this was the stupidest thing ever, like seeing a paramotor and what it is. I didn't think it was a cool thing. I was riding motorcycles at the time, so it wasn't a cool thing to do. Nobody else was doing it, so why would I want to do that? And my dad flew ultralights for the longest time, and he built some, and then he got this thing because it was more easily accessible. You can fly out of your backyard. And so he got one, and I was like, that's really stupid. I don't want to do that. And then I started kiting. And then after I started kiting, I kind of started to like it more. And I guess my dad learned how to fly. He had like 2 flights under his belt. And then it was like, here, go kite, grab this and grab that. And then I grabbed it, learned how to kite, and then had my very first flight in the backyard on a top 80, a Spark 30, and no helmet.
Whoa.
So yeah. I mean, I learned like the whole, what not to do when you start. So that's what you don't do.
So
but then,
what year was
yeah.
this that he started teaching you how to fly? Or just you started flying? Yeah, well,
2012, 2013.
About 7 years ago. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah, it's been a while.
I didn't know that's how you got into it. Does your dad still fly?
Yeah, actually, he's probably watching it right now. I told him to go into the chat because
Cool.
he just texted me.
How often does he get to fly?
He'll fly whenever he's able. Right now, they working on a new house and everything, so I've been kind of busy. We got up together once or twice in the last couple months. Most of the time, I just take off from their backyard and go fly there. But just got him a new wing, so he needed to upgrade, so got him a new one.
Did he teach you did he teach you the infinity tumble? The infinite.
Yeah. He just said, watch this video, do this, and you'll be fine, just like everybody else does. It should be great.
Cool. So you started flying, and then go ahead, talk about the progression.
Yeah, so I started flying, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I progressed. I guess I progressed in the way that I would tell somebody not to now, in regards to like, I got my wing, and like 3 months later, I was on a C wing. Granted, I flew all the time, but I upgraded very, very quickly to a different wing. And then within a year, I was on a Hadron or a Snake. That's what I had at the time. So that's what I did. And I started doing that. And then after I went to Australia and came back, I was there for 6 months, and I got to fly in Australia and go all these places and fly there. So that was really neat. But after that, I got back, and then I actually got a job. I applied at Aviator because they had a spot open for an instructor. And I was living in North Carolina at the time with, now I'm wife. And then after that, I guess I got the job and was there for I was there for 2 years. I instructed there for 2 years. By the time we were done, I was the lead instructor and, kind of running all the classes and stuff like that. And then when that got done, Travis had left Aviator, and then I left Aviator, and then we said, you know what, let's start our own thing. And then we started doing adventure trips, advanced courses, tandem certification classes, all that kind of stuff. And then I very quickly, it's nice when you're in the community. I was able to become friends with a lot of the, I guess you could say, like the legend, Eric Dufour. I did some training under him. So that was really awesome to be able to learn from somebody like that and to get his advice. And it's cool now because, obviously when we see each other, he'll ask me how everything's going, and then he'll ask me for some advice on certain things, which is kind of neat to, know that this guy's been in it for longer than I've been alive. And, he'll still ask me, hey, what do you think about this? Or, it's like, my opinion is respected, especially like that. So that's a pretty cool thing for me, I think.
Yeah. So One Up Adventures. Let's talk about where you are with One Up Adventures at this time. And all three of us are wearing our One Up Adventure shirt at this point of the show. I think it might be changing here. I think there's other t-shirts coming out here soon too. But so One Up Adventures, you guys have been doing tours, you and Travis Burns. And then what's been going on with you lately now with One Up Adventures?
So I actually moved from Florida to northern Minnesota. This is where my family is in Thief River Falls. We're about an hour from Canada, so it gets a lot colder up here. Like today was like 45, so it's not
Did
that
you
great.
grow up there?
I did. I grew up here my whole life. I grew up here, went to school. I'm actually teaching at the middle school right now where I went to middle school. Like the principal was my 4th grade teacher. So that was interesting. So that's kind of what I do now on the side, is I do that. So yeah, I'm up here now. And then what Travis and I do, so obviously it was a tough call to move up here, but my whole family's up here, a few life changes. We're not always going to be up here. That's for sure. I'm not living up here for a long time. I wanted to, I wanted to come back and be with family during, important times. And then after whenever the stars align, I guess I'll be moving back down somewhere south. But currently with One Up Adventures, I mean, we're still doing, if we could travel anywhere, we would be doing adventure trips. We were going to go to Italy in October, kind of hard with COVID and everything. But in December, actually, we're going to be running some courses in Florida. So first 2.5 weeks of December, sometime in there, we haven't finalized it yet. Probably some, tandem certification courses, something like that. But yeah, I'm still definitely involved. I help Travis make videos. I'm sure I know he's watching. If Todd is watching, I know he's watching because I know they're together right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, I talk to Travis probably 3 or 4 times a week, probably. And yeah, no, it's good. It just was just a change that needed to happen for the current time, especially with COVID and everything going on. It just made sense at the time.
I got a quick question for you, Kyle, before you go any further.
Yeah.
If I wanted to come down in December to do the tandem training, could I use, or would I be able to use your equipment?
Yeah. So whenever we do trike training, or any of, the tandem certification training, I mean, yeah, if you got good gear that you want to use that you're going to use and you bring it with you, that's fine. But we're going to train you on our gear. So you pay the fee, whatever, the course fee for that. And then after that, then all of the gear is included, the wing, the motor, the gas, the course fee. It's like beginner training. When you come there, you show up, everything's included. We have comm helmets, we have GoPros if we need them. And we got our nice legs. So if you don't know how to trike yet, but you're a good pilot, we have to teach you how to trike. And that constitutes us running up and down the field a lot.
Okay, good info.
Well, that's what the One Wheel is for now. So if you're new to the sport and you've never heard of Kyle, that's a good background on him. The things to remember most is he's one of the top trainers in the country. He was a lead trainer at Aviator. And he could do things that most of us would love to be able to do, or maybe not most of us, but a lot of us would love to do. So Kyle, if I'm right, you're the only person that can do the infinite
with the paramotor.
With the
yeah,
motor
I mean,
on your back,
there's plenty of people around the world that can do it on free flying. That's just one of those kind of like things that people want to get to when they first learn. But yeah, in the US, I mean, if somebody can tell me if I'm wrong, I would love to know who else does it, because it's fun to talk to people who are in that same world, because once you get into the acro world, everything kind of changes in terms of dynamics of the glider. So, but yeah, as far as I know, I'm the only one in the US that can do it. But if there's somebody else, please point them out. I'd love to get to talk to them.
Yeah. So here's what we're going to be doing. Kyle's going to be coming back on the show every 4 or 5 weeks. He's trying to multitask right now, read the chat and answer questions in the chat, but he's not going to answer the questions in the chat because that's our job. John relays the questions to me, and then we ask you the questions. So you already answered JP's question, but there's going to be more questions, and we really want to take this opportunity and these shows for you. I feel like Joe Biden staring at the camera right now. You, the American people, we want you.
I'm supposed to argue with you if we're going to do that. I'm supposed to be yelling, and Rip was supposed to stop it.
Shut up, dude. All right. So if you have questions, this is a great opportunity. We have a bunch of different topics. Kyle has been putting some videos out there. He started one on his own YouTube channel, but we found it more advantageous if he just does it on the One Up Adventures YouTube channel. So there's going to be some topics that he's going to be talking about. We're going to go through. We have a bunch of topics right now, and we may or may not get through all of them, which is fine. But if you have questions, we want to answer those questions right away. One of the questions, Kyle, that came up before the show even started is why, why do you wear a shirt? And I see it over your left shoulder right now that says "Shut Up, Todd." And lo and behold, I seem to have the same T-shirt on. What the heck is this about, man?
So Todd started Resurgence. Bless him. I love Todd to death. You know, no matter how much crap we give Todd, you cannot like Todd.
Never enough.
Todd, take that chip. You can put it somewhere else. But so actually, this shirt, we were doing a live stream. I don't remember where was it here, or was it on a different channel? I don't know. It was either here on Robert Michael's show, but
yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, I was giving him a lot of crap for it. I was like, you need to get a Shut Up Todd shirt. And it's actually on his website, inspired by me, Shut Up Todd. So, and anything that you buy off Resurgence PPG's website, you know, obviously it goes to helping Resurgence. So, and that shirt was kind of funny because Todd actually texted me or called me or one of the two and was like, who is the last name Mooney that's ordering these shirts? I'm like, well, it wasn't me. I have one. My mom ordered two. My dad, thanks, Dad. He gave $10. So that's awesome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mooney, for that donation to the show. I appreciate it.
So my mom had actually ordered two, and I was like, oh, those are for my mom. And Todd found that pretty funny that my mom was ordering shirts. I was like, well, it supports a good cause, so it's good.
I was actually the first one to buy it. I bought it before that show was over. And you know what, John? I was just thinking I had a great idea. I said to John earlier in the show, Kyle, we usually do a giveaway. I was actually going to ask you and Travis if we could give away some props tonight, but I have a better idea. Let's support Resurgence. John will ask a question later in the show based upon our conversation. He'll come up with a question, and the first person to answer in the chat near the end of the show, why don't we give away a Shut Up Todd t-shirt? It's a great idea. Support Resurgence PPG, and one more person to say, "Shut up, Todd." How's that? Is that good?
I like that. No, I like that. That's perfect. We're working on, well, we're not working on it, but I want to get some more shirts that say "Shut up" to specific people after a while.
So there you go. Cool. So that's how "Shut Up, Todd" came about. And again, we have two questions already from the chat. The first one, actually, one's just a statement here from Chad B. Says, Kyle, just wanted to say thanks for being most helpful during a bad apples a couple years ago, helping me to diagnose a Nitro 200 issue. I don't know if you remember that. That was from Chad B. And then he also asked,
oh, go ahead.
He asked, why are the One Up Adventure shirts pink? That's your jersey, right?
Yeah. So this jersey in particular, here, I can stand up real quick. So come on, focus. There we go. So yeah, One Up Adventures has our logo and then name on front and back, or on the back there. And it's actually signifies there's very few people. I think there's maybe like eight people total that have this jersey. And it's not a jersey that you can buy. You can't call us and say, hey, I want that jersey. But if you were to show up in Italy with us or Costa Rica or someplace else, you might get one. I'm not saying you're going to, but if you were to go on one of those, it's a very select group and a very, I guess, prestigious group. You can't just buy them. The only person that can order them is me and Travis.
I have mentioned to your partner, I would like to go to Rio and fly in Rio.
Yeah.
Rio would be a great. So as I said, this is an opportunity to ask an expert any question out there. So I have a question that I'm going to ask you. Yeah. I have mentioned that I have started doing acro or freestyle recently. Thank you, Linda Anderson, for that donation to the show. As always, each week, thank you so much for being there, Paramama. Here's my question. I love doing acro now. I like doing wingovers. I like doing nose down spirals, and I like to pull a sat. So I'm going to use a piece of paper here for my demonstration. This is my glider. It's not a very good looking glider. Oh, thank you, Kyle Mooney, for your donation to the show.
Holy cow.
Wow, thank you. You must really like the guest tonight. Thank you. Here's my glider, okay? And I am going to go into a sat, right? So I'm going to pull right brake, and as I pull right brake, the right side of my glider goes down, and I'm spinning. But right before it goes into a nose down, I'm going to pull harder right brake, and it pops the right side up to go into a sat. Why is it that when I'm pulling right brake, and then I pull harder, why doesn't it go like this then? What's the dynamics of that? See, some people, like I'm teaching my 15-year-old how to drive, and all he knows is the pedal on the left stops the car, the pedal on the right moves the car. but he doesn't know how it happens. And that's kind of why I'm asking, why does it happen that way? What's the dynamics of that?
So kind of, here's a sticky note, right? So when
I see my
if
glider
you're-
is bigger than yours.
Yeah, it is. That's true, actually. So I don't even know if I'm going to need this, but I have it anyway. So when you're entering a sat, right, you know, you put one arm up on the riser and then you just pull consistently till you enter a sat. Well, the best way to enter, we'll start with that, is some gliders need a wrap on the brakes, some don't. But when you enter it and you're pulling, you don't want to enter in half a turn because that's too fast and you can risk spinning the glider because you're pulling too fast and it's going to cause it to what's called a coconut spin. And if you don't pull fast enough, you're going to enter what you call that straight down spiral. And it's just going to be like this. And you're going to be spinning really, really fast, right? And when you pull it, it actually can still spin because of the energy. So you want to enter in about 3/4 of a turn is like the preferred spin amount, right? Like you should make 3/4 of a turn before the glider kicks sideways. Once that glider kicks sideways, it's really because you're fighting gravity. So if you were just in 0G, right? If you or in like 0.5 Gs or whatever it is, and the glider was to turn over, it's because of the energy that you have, but you don't have any energy when you're entering a sat except for your turning radius, right? So if you pull hard enough, it's just going to kick it sideways because you're going down towards the ground and there's wind. So the best way, wow, I see myself on this other screen and it's tripping me out. So when it turns down and it kind of goes down like this, you know, you're straight down, and when it kicks sideways, there's air going in those bottom, like the vents or the cells, right? The cells are going in and it's pressurizing the glider. But when it kicks sideways, it's because there's gravity. If there was no gravity, the glider would just kind of do whatever it wanted to do. But yeah, when you enter a sat, it's because when you're pulling, you're connected to something, right? But it's the same reason if I dive down towards the ground and I pull more brake than I do to do a sat, it'll just do a barrel roll because I have the energy in the glider to spin me around, versus I don't have that pendular energy when I'm just flying straight and then I turn because it changes my inertia, my energy.
Okay. That makes sense. Johnny, any questions there you want to read from the chat?
I have a question for him. Say someone new looking to get into Acro, what would you recommend them as far as getting into it? Where should they start? What type of glider should they start on? That kind of stuff.
This was one of the things that Kyle and I talked about too, is one of the topics is Acro, progression, and SIV courses.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to get into it, you know, it depends on how serious you want to get. A lot of people don't know how serious they want to take it or how difficult some of these maneuvers are. So getting into it, the best way you can do it, everyone's like, I need an acro glider to do acro. Well, what's defined as acro? In the rule book, when we're doing air shows, past like 40 degrees, you know, if you're climbing, oh, I gotta make this smaller. If you're climbing like this is like acro, it's because you're changing your angle of attack. So if you want to get into that real acro, the floppy wing acro, I guess is what he calls it, where the wings go floppy and you're doing spins and all that kind of stuff, I would start on an A or a B glider. Paul Takas has a cool video, Master Acro series, I think it's called. It's on justacro.com. I have no affiliation with them. I just really love what they do. And that justacro.com, what they do is he has a video on there and it's like $40. And he talks about the gliders, the maneuvers, how to do these maneuvers. It's not a way to tell you, hey, here's this and go do it. It's more of an info thing. But yeah, if you want to learn, I would get an A or B glider. Like the Mojo's a great glider, the Rush, which is actually a free fly wing that they use. And in that video, you can see on the Rush, he's doing misty flips, helicos, full stalls, dynamic full stalls, sats, spin sats, everything. And that's on a B, you know, paragliding wing.
So you can do it all on a beginner glider.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's some maneuvers like you got the Mac twist and a lot of these other connections and stuff and like the infinite and stuff like that you can't do on these gliders or do as well anyway. I know you can't do the infinite on one of those. Actually, I can't say that because I've never tried it and I'm not going to try it. I'll let one of those guys try that when they're in the mountains.
Well, good stuff. Good information.
So one of the things we talked about, one of the videos that you put out this past week was talking about why stay with your A glider?
Why? Well, so to start, when you have an A glider, it's naturally safe, right? It's built to fly. We've seen the videos of the guy in the harness on the beach and he just takes the harness and pushes it into the air and it just flies by itself. And we're like, how does that work? You know, it's just a safe glider. So it's going to tell you when things go wrong well before a Freeride or an Acro glider is going to tell you. So like, for example, when you're doing wing overs on an A wing, it's going to, the wingtip might come in, or it might have a small asymmetric doing a wing over because you didn't have enough outside brake, but that's all it's going to be. It's going to go floop and then flop back out. On a more advanced glider, like a Sirocco or just a C or worse, I guess, worse rated glider, it's not going to do that. It might go into a spin, something might go wrong, something like that. So having that A glider, it has that built-in safety aspect, right? It's like the Ferrari has really, really crappy safety ratings, I would assume. And then you have the Tesla, which has the really, really good safety ratings, or the Honda. I guess that's a better metaphor. And you want to be on the Honda until you learn how to drive, right? That was the metaphor I used in the video, actually. Give your kid the minivan or the safe car, and then once they're good, they can bump themselves up to the, you know, Honda Civic Si or whatever.
I forgot who said it. One of the Acro pilots said, a B glider will fly better than you can fly it.
Yeah, and they're right.
So if you just
They're
went
right.
hands up, it would do better than you trying to put inputs in it.
Yeah, a lot of the time when we see these issues happen, where people get into, you know, riser twist, cravats, things like that, and they don't get out of them, it's because they're doing something wrong. The glider wants to fly. You can fly a glider. My very second flight, I had a cravat. No idea how to get it out. I did like a 5-minute flight with a cravat. It was awesome, I think. But, you know, I was totally fine. It was an A glider. I took off. I didn't know how to get it out. And when I landed, I looked at my dad and said, what was that? And he's like, yeah, you just pull on this purple line. Oh, and then I knew. But up until that point, I didn't. So these things have a lot of characteristics that you want, especially when you're training. Like you go ahead and do a stall on an A glider. You can pretty much go hands up, let it go forward. It's going to frontal. After it frontals, it's going to recover by itself anyway, most of the time. But on these advanced gliders, you can't really do that.
So what, some of the, I know my Spider 3, this is a good example. Spider 3, I was on Spider 3. I have we went out to our SIV course with Andy and Leah at Skylab.
Oh,
and I couldn't do the stall. I believe it's a stall with that. Why is that?
You couldn't?
Right. Could not. Was it a stall? I think stall. Yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, stall. I can't stall with that. Can you explain why that is?
Did you, for example?
Well, it has tip steering.
Yeah, it has tip steering. That doesn't matter. Okay. Did you have, like, for example, were the trims all the way in?
We didn't try. It was said don't do it, because instead of it where when you stall your wing, where it kind of horseshoes in front of you, it was told to me horseshoe behind me.
Well, that's fine too. I guess because when you stall a glider, if it's above you, well, let's say it's like this, and it goes, you know, one way or the other. If you pull the brakes way too fast and way too hard, it's going to do a horseshoe behind you. When it goes in front of you, it shouldn't. It should. So you're saying it horseshoed in front of you?
Yeah, when we're at the SIV, John, right? If I remember correctly, it horseshoed in front of us as we're doing our full stalls.
That's what you were saying, yeah.
So it could be because it's a reflex wing. But I've stalled the Spider, the first one, not the Spider 3. I did full stalls on that one. And it could be because if you stall it, you might have been in a stall, and then when you released it, you tried to grab it too fast and it went in front of you and then horseshoed after that. Because if you try to stop a stall too fast, it will horseshoe while it's in front of you because you're just on the brakes too much.
If it goes behind you, is that the danger that it won't reinflate because the stalls aren't open?
No. So pretty much every time I stall a glider, if I stall it really aggressively or like in a dynamic, the whole glider just kind of folds up into a 90. Obviously, you can prevent that by not pulling as hard. But yeah, for the most part, when it's behind you and it stalls like that, then it's just I full stall it all the way down as hard as I can. I release my hands all the way up. And then I just know when the surge is going to happen and when I need to catch it. So it just goes right in front of me and nothing happens after that.
Gotcha. Quick thank you to Crazy Uncle Bob for his $5 donation. Craig Taylor, love me some Resurgence. Crazy Uncle Bob, fellow deplorable infidel flying squirrels. Thank you guys. Thank you for the donations to the show. Really appreciate it. So we talk about why stay with your A glider. When is it time to say it's time to get rid of the A glider and move up to something better then, Kyle?
So first thing I would do if you have an A glider, take the SIV course that you need. whatever it is. I don't care if it's on motor, free flying, if you have to go to Spain or Italy, or if you go, I know Santa Croce has done a couple of those where he does motor on or motor off, but you have your motor connected to you, SIVs. Any SIV is better than no SIV. Preferred over like in a towboat, 2 reserves, proper glider, proper harness. So what I mean by that is that A or B glider to start, proper harness, a harness that has 2 reserves and is, I guess, made for Acro. I mean, you can get an Acro 3 harness or an Acro 4. Acro 4 is $1,000, and Acro 3 you can buy used for $400 or $500. It's just, it has an upright posture, because if I sit like this is the Acro harness. If you're sitting in like a pod, you're like this. So if you've ever done that on a swing set, when you lay back, it's a lot easier to twist the swing set around, versus if you're sitting straight up, it's a lot harder to get twisted. So that's the idea behind that, and they're just more reinforced for Acro too. But when it comes down to actually knowing when to upgrade, honestly, there's no like, okay, you've reached this point, upgrade now. The best advice I give this advice all the time, is if you're learning like the heli, right, which is the hardest basic maneuver to do, the hardest basic Acro maneuver. It looks like it'd be easy because it's like, oh, I just pull on a brake and it spins. Not the case at all. It took me over a year before I could actually get into a heli and stay into one. So once you've mastered the heli on your A glider, for me, then it's time to move to the next glider, because when you move to the next glider, it should be easier to do that heli on, because the pressure in the brakes tells you where it is. And you have to know how to catch the surges. And by the time you've mastered the heli on that A-wing, you're going to be ready for that next, that next glider.
Question in the chat from Roger R. What's a good progression to start with for a newbie with big ears, then wing overs, and move on to a sat?
So as far as a newbie goes, obviously it depends on your skill level. Newbie can be defined as, I've been flying for 2 years and I got a lot of hours, but I just kind of fly in a straight line. Or a newbie is like, I learned how to fly like 3 months ago and I want to do Acro because that's like my thing. So I'll just kind of do it for both. Big ears is always a good thing to know. It's a descent technique that nobody really uses unless maybe you're in like the X-Alps type of scenario, but I've never had to use big ears to get down because I just spiral down. But what I would do if it was me wanting to get better, you're going to, do big ears, read your manual, do your big ears, right? It's not a really dangerous, unless you pull the wrong line, which I highly doubt it. These A gliders are very basic when it tells you pull on this line to do, big ears. For wing overs, that's just kind of a natural progression. Like, you're going to first start flying and you're going to start doing these, and then you're going to get the wingtip close to the horizon. And then the next time you fly, you're going to get it a little bit closer and a little bit. And before you know it, you're going to be below the horizon and going, oh, that's a wing over. Okay, great. So that's kind of a natural progression. As far as the sat and stuff like that, I mean, I'll be honest, I taught myself how to do the sat. I just watched it. I watched Theo do it in a video and went up. But one day I remember the glider I was on. I remember my dad was on the ground watching me, and I'm like, I want to try this because it didn't look that bad. Not the right way to do it. Do not go do that. I did not tell you to do that. So please don't do that.
Well, as representing of the show, I'm going to say, please get with an instructor.
Yeah.
Or
call me, text me, message me. I don't care. Ask somebody who knows more than you. It's okay in this sport to do that. If you don't know something, just ask. Like that's why it's great about the community is if you don't know and you have people around you that are humble about what they do know, they're willing to help you. They're willing to go out of their way. And, if they don't know, they'll ask somebody who does know. But yeah, I guess to answer your question, anything past those wing overs and things like that, I would honestly take an SIV course, because it's going to teach you how to use your outside brake, and it's going to scare you. You're going to get scared. You're going to do stalls. You're going to do spins. You're going to do a sat, but being comfortable with it is important.
So my 2 experiences is that, first of all, with One-Up Adventures, if you decide to take the tandem exemption trainer, basic light instructor trainer certificate, if you have time after that 5-day course or during that 5-day course, Kyle and Travis, they can help you and do more maneuvers or help you with your finessing, your style, correct?
Yeah. And everyone thinks they know how to do a wing over once they can start doing barrel rolls, but it's kind of funny once you watch and do a proper wing over.
Mhm.
A wing over on motor is different than free flying, because in free flying,
Yeah.
your precision, your timing has to be very accurate. Just because you lose energy so quickly, because on a motor you can cheat. You're like, oh, I don't have enough energy, I'm just going to add some gas.
Yeah.
You know, so, and we do that all the time. But then when you switch to free flying, it's a completely different beast, and you're like, wow, I actually need to manage this energy, not just use it, abuse it, I'm out, add some more. It doesn't work that way. And learning those things, because once you get into real acro, the motor is just your tool to get up in the sky. It doesn't do anything for you. It just adds weight and adds a pendular thing that's going to cause riser twist. So when you're doing real acro, you're not using your motor anyway.
Yeah. A couple questions here. Sean Ferguson asked a question. I know you said earlier the pink jersey shirts, really those are for select few people that may go on one of the trips. But Sean says, will I have a chance to get a shirt? Okay, hold on.
So, well, here, I'll answer 2 and 1 for that, because I see those too.
Okay.
Well, one, they're pink because we use these when we're training too. Like, we'll just wear these because they're sweat, they just for sweating, and they're really nice to wear. But they're pink because when we go on adventure trips, we wear these, and how easy it is to find a dude in pink in Costa Rica or Italy.
Great idea.
So if you don't know where we're at, we're wearing pink. So that was one of the big reasons behind that. And will you get a shirt upon training next year? I mean, if we go on an adventure trip, you can get one of these maybe. But yeah, obviously if you come down to train, like Rip has got the shirt on right now. That blue One Up Adventure shirt, you guys can get those at any time. Just go on the website or give us a call. You guys can order those. Yeah, actually, so they're not 2 different color blues. They just have different lighting. So yeah, they're all the same.
Yes, I am going through.
Another question from your buddy Todd. What does Kyle see as the next trend in the PPG community?
I guess the next trend, that's hard. I mean, if I knew those questions, I'd be putting more money in the stock market and
tandem trike flying. That looks like it's exploding.
Honestly, it is. You know what? And I'm going to be completely honest. We're probably going to be getting another stimulus check.
Oh,
so when I say that because people get extra cash and they go, what do I need now? So, you're going to get guys upgrading their wings and doing all this stuff. But honestly, the next thing really is probably just going to be people. We're just going to have a lot more people in the sport. We're going to have all these people. I talked to a couple of friends that run a school in the Midwest, and they're like, yeah, all of a sudden we had no students, and then COVID hit and we were packed, and they didn't know why. And I'm like, well, if they all get a stimulus check at the same time, everyone's like, well, I wanted to learn how to fly. This just kind of puts this free money in my pocket. So I'm going to do this, or free money as they see it is. But yeah, I guess the next trend is probably going to be a lot more people getting into it. And then the people that are already in it are going to want to learn the acro, more SIVs and things like that. So that's honestly where I think it's going to be going. People are kind of getting away from the carrying all the crap with them when they fly, because I know a lot of people used to carry like 5,000 gadgets for whatever reason, and they don't now because they're like, I don't need that. I just want to fly, or they want to save up for the new wing or whatever. So,
Kyle, you've seen a side, you and people like Minyard have seen a side to paramotoring that most of us here have not seen. And that's what's been going on in Europe for years, and that's the competitions. We haven't even as a country scraped. Well, I'm going so bad on analogies here. We haven't even started doing that sort of stuff here. Leah just bought pylons, and I think Minyard has pylons, and Chris Holbert has pylons. And I don't know if anybody else has pylons, but there's so much more that we're going to be doing as making this not just a hobby, but really a true sport. So yeah, I believe Acro is going to continue to grow. As John said, I believe more tandem. I know the guys up in Michigan, a bunch of them got their tandem exempt with you.
Yep.
I think was it Mike Cotter that flipped the bike with you?
No, I flipped it with him.
Oh, you flipped it with him.
I was the pilot.
You did that on purpose,
I did it on purpose to show him the structural rigidity of the cage.
A strength of that fly product flash cruiser.
Yeah, it was perfect. So,
yeah, and then since I've done it, not that I'm setting any trends, but I was very excited to do it. I know at least 5. I know Rick Davies has done it. Leah George Farkas has done. There's who else? I know there's a bunch of people that have just recently done it with Travis. So, Craig Taylor, of course, has one as well.
Yep, Craig did it.
I think that it's not for joy rides. It's for training. It's for introductory flights. And I've already got a bunch of people here in my area that want to go up for introductory flights, which is great. It means more people getting into the sport. The sport continues to grow.
Exactly.
And then we can be better advocates of our sport. And speaking of being better advocates, one of the other topics that you wanted to talk about tonight was being a good ambassador at fly-ins. What do you want to say about that?
Yeah. So, and I'll kind of keep it straight to the point. When you go to a fly-in, whether you're a pilot already, or you're an aspiring pilot, or you just want to watch, obviously most people here are going there as pilots, or they're wanting to get into the sport. Honestly, just be how you would, when you have a son or daughter and they're young, and then they have their friend come over and you treat that friend really nicely, right? It's not, to be honest, you probably don't care if they like you or not. It's just more you're treating them out of respect for them as a human being. So doing the same thing when we go to fly-ins, picking up your trash, helping the people lay out their gliders. There's been times at the fly-in where, because I only fly for like 15 minutes at a time, I'll land, and rather than going and sitting on my butt on the chair, I'll go help lay out gliders, or the people that are, directing air traffic control on the ground. Go help those guys out, because those guys are giving up their time and their day to help everybody else. So why can't we do the same thing? So really, it's just about helping each other at the fly-in. Somebody's missing a bolt, grab them a bolt. It's not a big thing. Somebody breaks a prop. All right, well, here's a prop. And, whether you got to buy it or not, obviously you're going to need a new one. So, if you're able to help out people like that, it just adds a lot. And when somebody from outside of the sport sees somebody doing that, it's like, wow, this is a pretty cool community. I've been a part of a lot of communities. Like I played a lot of paintball where it was really high strung community. Like if you're not on my team or within like my little group of dudes, like you're a piece of garbage.
Yeah,
so
clicky.
Yeah, it's a very clicky thing. And with this, it really isn't. It's more like we're all here. We're all a bunch of goofy people who just
we
like
all
to
get humble
fly.
too, I think.
Yeah.
We all get humble. It doesn't matter who you are, how long you've been flying. You're going to trip that one time, or you're going to slip, or something's going to happen, and you're just like the rest of us.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll give you a great example of how to act and how not to act at a fly-in. It happened to me at Swanee. My exhaust plate broke, and there's Travis Burns, your buddy, zip tying it back together for me so I could fly. And then in another instance, you were there. And then another time I was flying and I was foot launching. Mind you, I was just a brand new foot launcher at the time. And I landed on the far side of the field, and I walked back over, and this jerk says to me, "Why'd you land so far over there? Why didn't you land right here?" Who was that? Who was it, Kyle? Who was it, Kyle?
I don't know.
Shut up, Kyle.
So
I'm not.
Well, see, but it's a cool thing. Well, so obviously, if I would have, see that happen, I know
You did it because it was me. It's all right.
Well, yeah. I mean, we pick on each other, but it's funny because we say those things and we make jokes, but then if something truly, something bad did happen, we had somebody throw the reserve in Lake Wales a couple of years ago. Instructor, he was low, he did a sat, he spun it, he threw his reserve, and it was like ants going towards like food on the ground. I just couldn't believe it. I mean, like we were all out, and he was about I don't know, not quite a mile away, maybe 3/4 of a mile away. And we all got on anything we could find, and we got out there. Same thing with anybody who's ever went down somewhere, or somebody crashes out in the field. You see people running, and there's some places where you don't. In other sports, it's like, oh, that sucks. It's not me. So woohoo, but here it's not like that at all. So
best example of a great ambassador, I would have to say, is Tim Gaskins, who at this last fly-in at Dave Purdon, here I am brand new to Tandem. I wanted to take up 5 people in my family on quick 15-minute flights. And Tim was right there as I landed, set everything back up, helped to get the passenger out, get the hang points moved, get the glider laid out so we could be back up in the air and get all the. So Tim, that was just absolutely awesome. So yeah.
No, Tim's an awesome dude, and just things like that is what keeps the sport growing. So, and it keeps it a positive thing.
JP Tulo wants to know, where does Kyle Mooney have his trims for barrel rolls?
That is personal preference all the way. To be honest, it is. I take off trims all the way out. I land trims all the way out. And the only time I ever touch my trims on my free ride is if somebody is slower than me and I don't feel like pulling brake. So I know a lot of guys like doing it trims all the way in because it's more of a floaty barrel roll. It depends on your wing too. On the Viper, I would keep them all the way out. I guess on the Freeride, some people keep them at half because it's more divey. I weigh like nothing, so I leave them all the way out. But that's kind of how I fly. I like the speed. I like the pressure. I like heavy brake pressure for the most part. So really, it's personal preference. Kind of see what you like best, starting those wing overs with your trimmers at all the way in, for example, and then go from there. And you'll kind of see what you like and how the energy takes you. So yeah, I just prefer it all the way out is where I like my trims when I'm pretty much flying my Freeride. I don't think I change them.
Good question. Sean Ferguson says, I have a question about the motor I just ordered from One Up Adventures. How much torque, guessing to the right, does the rider Thor have? So this is the Thor 250. Well, we're talking about the motor, so it's on a rider, but it's the Thor 250.
So I've not foot launched that one on the rider yet. I've ran it up on my back, on the ground, of course, and of course I've flown it on the trike.
It's heavy, isn't it? About 75 pounds?
Yeah, it's heavy. We could foot launch it. We were just busy and just never were able to. Our motors were always ready to go. But as far as torque, especially if you're using it on a trike, you're going to notice a little bit at full power. You know, if you're flying this way and you're at full power, it's going to be something like this. It's nothing to worry about. But if you're foot launching it, of course, you just want to be careful, like with any other engine, until you've flown it and got used to it. I thought, you know, the Moser and the Tornado had a ton of torque, and now I fly full throttle, hands off, and just put my hands in my lap while I'm climbing. So, you know, as long as you just get used to it and be careful with it. Yeah, I've never had an issue with torque, except for some random frame I flew when I was in Spain with a Sky on it.
Do you fly with Lamellas? I know you're a big advocate. You're doing those videos for PPG Smoke. Do you fly with the Lamellas on?
I personally don't. Mainly because honestly, I just don't want them on there.
Yeah.
I am a huge advocate though. So don't like take that away from anything. I just choose not to use them because I transport my motor on the back of the car when I go to and from, and they can have a weird effect on the wind, and you're supposed to put your motor into the wind. So it's like how it flies. And I can't do that. I actually put it the other way. So it would rip my net apart too, if I did that. But no, don't get me wrong. Lamellas, they do work. And anybody who's been flying for a decent amount of time, you know, 2 years and under, I would say Lamellas are a great thing. Especially if you're like a long cross country pilot. If you like cross countries, get Lamellas. That's the best answer I can give you. Okay.
Michael Weatherspoon, sounds like this is a future pilot here, says, what is the best way to train and prepare for foot launch class? Do you ever say to anybody, hey, you need to get in shape, or that you need to do some training? What kind of advice do you give to someone that's going to be going through training soon?
So obviously I don't know you as a person, you know, or your weight or anything like that, but generally speaking, the lighter you are, the better. And I say that because some guys are 6'5" and weighing 150 pounds. For them, they'd be like a twig. So that doesn't really work out. I would say get in a nice weight range for yourself. You know, look up your BMI and see where you're supposed to be, and be on the middle to low end of your BMI is kind of where you want to be, because I can't tell you what to weigh, because a lot of people just are big boned. Like if I was 180 pounds, I'd literally be able to roll me across the room. So yeah, what I would do, we actually had a dad and a son in a class last February, and they both ran every day for 2 months. They started just running, and then eventually they put weight on their backs and they started running, just to get into a little bit better shape and to just get ready for training. Honestly, the best thing I could say is just make sure you're in shape, and you don't need to go lifting weights. You don't need to go doing any of that stuff. I mean, look at me, man. I'm a scrawny little twig, right? I can carry my 65, 70 pound motor for 2 hours and I'm fine. So a lot of it is that muscle that you just build up over time that you don't really use normally. So yeah, I would say just go work out and then show up with a good attitude and like 5 pairs of shoes, because they're probably going to get wet.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of add to this question here. That's from the chat. Let's see if I can add this correctly here. Should someone who has been retrained at Fly My PPG for foot launching, got tandem exempt training from One Up Adventures, done an SIV course at Skylab, but has also flown, should this person get more lessons for their flying judgment if they have had 2 landings in trees and 1 I've only had one trade landing and one river landing, and also wears a coconut bra from time to time. Should this person go back for judgment training? Flying judgment. I don't even know if that's a thing.
I'm not sure how to answer that.
Good. I think the person's good. Probably good. All right, another question here. Let's move on. I don't have to answer that one.
We're moving on.
Let's give him a good question.
Can you please have Kyle touch on the rules for tandem foot launch? We love to do tandem training, but don't ever see myself getting a trike. It's a great question. Someone asked me that recently. You know, the rules of doing. You know, do you have to be exempt to do foot launch?
Yes. So with the ASC, we certify through the ASC and not the USPA. We're USPA instructors, but we certify through the ASC. And I'll be honest, foot launch. The reason we don't do foot launch tandems is not because they're not fun. They are. They're just a lot more dangerous because, as we all know, if anybody's a foot launch pilot, at some point you've sat down. And these people that we're going to be taking up, whether they're newer or they've never flown before or they've flown before, if somebody sits down, if that passenger sits down on you and they're in front of you, things can go wrong. And I hate relying on that person to do that because really then it's like, you can't really blame them. They don't know what they're doing. They just, oh, I have to run. Okay. And you can tell them, don't sit, don't sit. Well, I've trained a lot of people. I know how that works. Don't sit, don't sit. Boom, there goes a prop and a cage and everything else. So, you know, I've seen this happen. Travis was doing a foot launch tandem quite a few years back, and the girl was running and felt that lift and just straight sat down. And Travis had no option other than to put his knee down and not run over her. But then at the same time, he had a 3-blade prop on and it just destroyed the prop. So, you know, and you can't really charge her for that because it's not her fault. So my best advice is like, you know, don't ever see yourself getting a trike. I used to think trikes were stupid. I mean, I was like, why would, the same reason I thought this sport was dumb. I was like, this is dumb. I don't want to do this. And then I loved it. And then I thought trikes were kind of weird. And then after I got a trike and started playing on a, man, trikes are a lot of fun. Like if you can foot launch and you're good foot launching and you're, you know, just comfortable and you get a trike, it's going to open up a whole new world. You can land downwind, crosswind. You can do 360 taxis, figure 8 taxis, whatever. There's so much you can do. And when you take up passengers on a tandem trike, it's safer for them. It's safer for you. They can sit down, they can relax, they can bring their phone with them. You know, it's just a lot less for you to worry about and to do, honestly.
Yeah, so much fun. So much fun. Yankee Paramotor says, do you think your body weight or body size has an awful lot to do with your success in acro?
No,
I mean,
not at all.
No. Okay.
Because really, my weight doesn't matter. Your weight doesn't matter. You just get a glider that's sized for your particular weight. And when you look at like some of the, okay, so I can reference some pros like Horacio Lawrence, like he's not a small person. You know, a lot of the acro pilots you do see, yeah, they're 120 to 160 pounds and like, that's it, you know? But like Horacio he's a man. I'm like a man child, you know? So, you know, he's like a full-size adult and he's able to do all of these things and he's a world champion. So a lot of it is sizing your wing. So like for me, if I was say 200 pounds, I wouldn't be on a 17-meter acro glider. I would be on probably a 20 or a 22-meter acro glider, and they're just bigger. They do the same thing. I mean, they make tandem acro gliders to do infinite tumbles on. So really it's about the glider size. So yeah, no, your body size really has nothing to do with it. It just has about the glider that you choose. Yeah.
And your skill. I have one more question here, and this is coming from the chat. And I can't believe we're almost at the end of the show. And I do want to tell you this before I ask this last question. We had a couple other topics that Kyle and I were prepared to talk about. And these are things we'll get to as we go into the next segment in about 4 or 5 weeks. One of them was dealing with cops. We're not going to talk about it now, but dealing with cops while you're flying, or if they come out to the LZ. Weight range of what your weight range should be on specific gliders. I know we were going to surprise John and talk about his 5 or 6 different gliders and what he uses each one for, but we'll wait for the next show to talk about that. And then of course, Kyle's going to have a bunch of other videos coming out with other topics as well. So make sure if you're not subscribed to the One Up Adventures YouTube channel that you do that as well. And another person who always has fun videos, and you should watch his videos, is Mark Amundsen. He put out another video today where a guy that he flies with put, oh my gosh, chicken wire on his cage instead of lines. It works. It works great. I thought it was a phenomenal idea. It may add a little weight, but it was phenomenal. But Mark Amundsen says, why does everyone love the Freeride? What makes it the go-to glider for acro?
So I guess I'm gonna start this off. When I refer to acro, I guess me personally. So in the paramotor world, acro is considered, wing overs, barrel rolls, and sats, which, yeah, for all intents and purposes, yes, it is acro. But when it comes down to acro, real acro, the helis and all of that stuff, you want a dedicated acro wing if you're serious and you're learning the infinite and you're getting there, you're going to start out on that A or B glider, and then you're going to work your way and go towards an acro wing. Like Air G, I fly the Air G Emily Piece 2. That's my acro glider. It's made for acro. It sucks at everything else. The launch sucks. The landings are fun, but the launch absolutely sucks. The handling, just flying it around, is terrible. But the second you turn the glider sideways and start diving towards the ground and get energy into it, it's the glider you want for that. One of those types of gliders. But why does everybody love the Freeride? Honestly, it's just a good glider. I mean, I had the Snake, I've had the Hadron, I've had, oh man, the Viper. Put hours in the Viper. I flew the Carve quite a bit. But out of all those wings, I just kind of stuck with the Freeride because it does have light brake pressure. I like heavy brake pressure for certain things, but I guess when I say heavy on the Freeride, that's actually light. So on the Gin Carve, the brakes are pretty heavy on any trim setting for the most part. But when you compare it to a Freeride, the Freeride is much lighter on the brakes. So I love that. I love how it dives. Its efficiency is bar none. I mean, I can outclimb any of the other wings that, size for size, class for class on that wing. It's just more efficient. And it's just kind of what I've grown used to. I know there's this big debate. It's like Ford and Chevy. It's like Dudek and Ozone. You got the Warp and all these other ones, and then you have Ozone. And I fly it because that's what I like right now. Maybe in the future, if somebody says, hey, I want you to try this wing, I think it's better than the Freeride, and it's better than the Freeride, I'm going to fly that. Mm-hmm. So everybody likes it, I guess, because right now it's a great wing. I mean, I have not found a glider that can beat it yet.
Okay.
I had one. I flew it for over a year and a couple of months. I loved it. It was a good glider. I just moved on.
Yeah, everyone has a different set of what they want.
Right. Some people like do out of the glider. You looking to, go cross country, or you looking to go up and do runs,
Yeah, so it depends. Yeah, and there is no, I'm not saying the other gliders are bad, because they're not. Like, I bought my dad a Hadron, original Hadron, because I love that glider. That's probably my favorite glider by Dudek. My favorite glider by Ozone is the Freeride. It's just the one I like. So, if they made a Hadron 15, I might trade it in and see how it goes. So yeah, I'm totally open. There's no one glider that is better in every category. Everyone has their faults. So, and actually the Freeride is nice because it has sheathed lines. I don't like unsheathed full cascade. The upper cascade is unsheathed, but not the bottom.
So before John asks his question here for the chat for the Shut Up Todd t-shirt from Resurgence PPG, I'm going to ask one last question here. This just came in from Greg Anthony Harris. He says, Kyle, do you know any light single person trike frames which can easily be attached to the Parajet Maverick?
Not currently. I do know someone who has put a Foxy trike, which it's a Fly Products Foxy, which directly mounts the Fly Products units underneath of a Maverick, and they had to build a stand for it. And they just customized it a little bit. So yes, you could use that trike and modify it a little bit. But really, there is no perfect trike right now for the Maverick. So I would say if you wanted a trike, I would go with the Fly Products one and then build that mount that goes on top, because the Parajet has a unique mounting system.
Yeah, that cage is weird on the bottom.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm living in Minnesota, by the way, Greg.
Oh, God. No, that was the question for the chat, Ripa. I mean, Kyle, that's the question Ripa was going to ask. He was asking me if that was a good question.
Oh, well, I was reading the wrong chat. I'll come up with a new question. Hang on.
Oh.
Well.
I didn't know that. I said to everyone, so I didn't read it.
Okay. By the way, while we get another question, Jeez, oh, Pete. I just put in the chat the meeting ID for Zoom and the password. So if you want to ask some questions, Kyle, if we're going to stick around, if you can stick around for a little bit for the after show, some people would like to come in, say hi, and maybe ask you a couple other questions. Kyle, if you would like to come up with tonight's question for the Shut Up Todd t-shirt, do you have a question? But it has to be from things you talked about today.
Oh, okay. I did. I actually put it in the chat. So for the Shut Up Todd t-shirt.
Okay.
All right, go ahead and read it.
Yeah.
All right. So Kyle wants to know, the first person who gets this in the chat wins the Shut Up Todd t-shirt, correct?
It has to be, yes. Yep. So yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So Kyle's question is
right now. Now I'm going to do this. Hold on a second. As soon as you ask the question, what I'm going to do, this is going to work great. I'm actually going to share my screen so we can see the answer come up. So actually, Kyle, you're going to look at my screen. You'll be able to see it here. And
yeah, I have the chat up on the right side too.
Here, if it's, oh, you know what? Hold on one second. Okay, go ahead and ask the question, John.
okay. The question is, what was Kyle's first wing and motor? What was his first wing and what was his first motor?
Uh-oh, where's my chat go? Oh, this could be a problem. Uh-oh. All right, you guys watch your chat.
He broke it.
Anyone in the chat can answer it. Nice job,
Okay.
Todd, on the Minnesota.
Oh.
I don't know.
Oh,
Do you see it in the chat?
John Weed. John Weed.
Yep, I see it too.
Ah,
All right,
Dan Weed's got it. Okay, I don't know. how
enough,
to
Pete
stop.
Cray. Congratulations, John Weed.
Stop sharing. All right, I just said stop. John Weed, who is going to be changed. He just came out. He was the one who filmed me taking off the other night when I did my my flight with my daughter. So he came out with his kids and watched us, and he's getting into the sport, and he's very, very excited. Congratulations, John Weed. Awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, no, that was good. It was a top 80 and a Spark. So actually my dad had a top 80 and a Spark, and then I flew it. And that night I went on eBay and bought a top 80 that I found.
Wow.
And then I ordered an Ozone Spark in a smaller size that same night.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
How did you know? God, that's really good answer. James Robinson came in after that.
Yeah, you got it.
Got close to that, so that's good. Good job, John. So, John, you obviously have my on Messenger. You can just send me your address, and I'll go ahead and get one ordered. Just also send me your shirt size that you'd like, and we'll get that shipped out to you. Next week, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, 3 o'clock Pacific Time. Amelia Plack is going to be here. That's going to be amazing. Have you met Amelia?
I've met Amelia, yeah.
Yeah, pretty cool chick,
Yeah,
huh?
several
Yeah.
times.
Chick. You shouldn't say chick. That's not politically correct. You shouldn't say chick. All right.
It shouldn't say chick.
We shouldn't say chick. Kyle, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you in a couple weeks. We'll pin down a date for the next show, whatever works for you. But
Sounds
we
awesome.
got 3 other shows lined up here, and we'll get some more guests in. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight, and hope you had fun. Hope if you have more questions you want to ask Kyle, you can ask them in the after show or save them for this time he's going to be on. But again, keep your eye on One Up Adventure YouTube channel. And you'll see more videos coming out. Hit the bell too, so you'll be notified when those videos come out. Go ahead.
Next episode, these are going to be given away to somebody. These are PPG Smoke Lamellas that I have.
Nice.
So
Very cool.
if anybody's wanting some Lamellas, these are going to go out to on the next episode that I'm on. These
Those are
going
the
to somebody.
those are the ones you don't use, right?
Oh, actually, I have another set over there too, just in case.
All right, guys. Have a real good night.
Thanks,
see you next
everyone.
time.
Thanks, Kyle.
Take care, everybody. Thanks for the donations.
Okay, we are off.